In this video, we're going to be working to translate some English phrases that are in words into algebraic expressions and even an equation along the way. Before we get into some of the examples, let's take a look at some key words that may help us out. For addition, we're going to be looking for words like add, sum, plus, increased by, more than, and total. Now you'll notice this sum is highlighted. That's because the sum is technically the answer to an addition problem. All of these highlighted versions here, those are the answer to those types of questions. Let's look at subtraction. So we've got subtract, difference, minus, decreased by, and less than. Those typically mean we're subtracting. A difference is the answer to a subtraction problem. For multiplication, we could say multiply, product, times, double, which really means times 2, triple, which would be times 3, twice is also times 2. And I've added of to the list. Now, of doesn't always mean multiply, but it's something to look out for. If somebody said, what is half of 10, you would be doing 1/2 times 10. So something to think about. And division, we've got divide, quotient, ratio. Half means we're dividing by 2. So if you want half of 8, you're taking 8 divided by 2. Another word to watch for as we're doing equations is the word is. Is typically will represent an equal sign. Again, not always, but something to watch for. Let's try some examples. First up, number 1 says 4 times the sum of a number and 12. So let's pull some key things out from this. First up, I see the word times. Anytime we see the word times, we're going to be thinking about multiplication. When I see the word sum, I'm thinking about addition. And when we see of a number, that means we don't know what that number is, and we're going to need a variable. We're going to just use X, but you could use other letters. Important thing here, though, the word sum. That tells me it's the answer to the addition problem. So let's read it again, but instead of the word sum, let's put in the answer to the addition. So 4 times the answer to the addition of X and 12. When you think about it like that, it means that we have to do 4 times the other stuff, the answer to what we get. So this bit right here is important to find first. So we want to add a number and 12. So that's going to look like X plus 12. Now we need to do 4 times the answer of the sum of X and 12. So we are going to do 4, and we're going to multiply it with the sum of X and 12. Now, if you have this written down, this isn't quite it. Let's talk about why this is not it. Remember order of operations. That still matters. If you were going to do this and try and simplify it with some value in there for X, order of operations would say the first thing you do is 4 times whatever X is. And that's not what this is saying. It's not saying take 4 times a number and then add 12. It's saying 4 times the answer to X and 12. So this isn't going to cut it. What we need is 4 to be multiplied with the sum or the answer to X and 12. When you write it like this, you're saying order of operations says do this first. Find the answer to the addition first, and then do 4 times whatever this is. So this would be the correct way to translate that into an algebraic expression. Let's look at number 2. 8 less than the product of a number and 6. Let's find some pieces that we can work with. When I see the word less, I'm thinking subtract. When I see the word product, I'm thinking multiply. A number, that's going to be my variable. But let's be very careful about that word product. Product not only means multiply, it means we're doing the answer of a multiplication problem. So that means we've got to tackle this before we tackle the other stuff. Product means the answer to a number being multiplied with 6. So we need to multiply x times 6. Typically, the way we would write that in algebra is just 6x. When there's no symbol between those, we know it means multiply, and we typically put the number or the coefficient first. Now, we do need to subtract that 8, but let's talk about 8 less than 6x. There's 2 ways to think about this. Is it this? Or is it this? Now, if we were doing addition, I don't think it would matter much, because when you add numbers, you can do it in any order and it doesn't change it. 2 plus 3 is the same as 3 plus 2. But when it comes to subtraction, order does matter. So those are 2 very different expressions. Which one is 8 less than 6x? The answer is this guy right here. This one says take the product and subtract 8. It's 8 less than where we started. This one right here is the product being subtracted from 8. That is a different answer and not what we want for this one. Let's try number 3. 34 is 5 more than the quotient of a number and 3. This one's a little longer. Let's see what we can pull from here. First up, I see an is. 34 is, think about that as 34 is equal to, same thing. So when we see this is for this problem, I think that's an equal sign. I also see the word more. More typically means we're going to be doing some addition. Quotient, that's another word we know. Quotient is the answer to a division problem. And there's my variable that we're going to need. Let's see if we can put all these pieces together. We're going to start with 34 is equal to 5 more than the answer to a number divided by 3. So remember, quotient is the answer to a number divided by 3. We would probably in algebra write that as x divided by 3. So we need to do the answer to x divided by 3 first, and then we need 5 more than that. So there is my plus 5. Let's double check and make sure this makes sense. 34 is equal to, so there's that, the answer to x divided by 3, there's the quotient of a number in 3, and we want 5 more than the answer of the quotient. So this is 5 more than the answer of the division problem. Let's do one more. On average, Sam uses 4 sets of disposable eyelashes each night of a show. That seems like a lot. If Sam has a kit with 30 eyelashes, write an expression to show how many are left after 6 nights of shows. Important to pick up on, we are writing an expression here. which means we're not going to have an equal sign. If we had an equal sign, it would say write an equation. Expressions don't have equal signs. Also, the other thing is I don't think I have any missing parts. We know all the stuff, so we're not going to have a variable here. Let's see if we can find some important things to keep in mind. Sam uses 4 sets each night of the show. He's got 30 in his kit, and there's 6 nights of shows. So how many is he starting with? Well, he's starting with 30 in his kit. Now, every night he has a show, he's using 4 of them. 4 for each night. So we're going to get rid of some every night. We are going to get rid of 4 every night, and we have 6 nights of shows. So for each night of shows, he uses 4. So 4 times 6 would tell us how many he's used, and we need to subtract that from how many he started with. So our expression would be 30 minus 4 times 6. If you wrote it as 30 minus 6 times 4, that's the same answer, because it doesn't matter when we're multiplying. You could also write it with, instead of parentheses, using a dot for multiplication. That's the same answer as well.